According to the UrbanDictionary.com, the word snark is a combination of snide and remark, a sarcastic comment. But to our next guest, it's much more than that. David Denby is film critic for The New Yorker and the author of Snark. It's mean, it's personal, and it's ruining our conversation. And David Denby is with us this morning. Good morning.
Great to be here.
Good to see you. It's interesting to me because as a film critic, and a lot of criticism I noticed maybe starting 10 years ago or so, seemed to get so mean and so personal. And it's interesting to me that you would be among the first to notice this and say, well, there's a problem with that.
Well, actually, I'm thinking more of political stuff, but with criticism, if you're talking about someone's performance and describing them physically, if you don't say how they use their looks, if you're just doing a kind of beauty contest evaluation, someone has bad legs or a funny nose, that's snark. If you're a critic when you say someone has transformed his looks the way Sean Penn does in Milk, that's okay. It's just me. That's criticism.
Sure. How do you think? What's a best example of snark for you?
Well, there's tons of it. There was tons of it in the election, and some of this is pretty touchy and nasty. I thought there were a lot of attacks on Barack Obama that were really coded racist appeals. I mean, talking about him as a Muslim, which was used as a smear, pals around with terrorists. I think people were saying he's black. You can't trust him. He's the other. He's different. Don't trust him. Though snark was the rhetorical mode that was used.
Wasn't it always thus, though? I mean, is this just a new form of something that's kind of always been around?
Malice is as human as kindness. Yes, it's always been there. I think it started in the Greek drinking clubs in the 8th century BC, where the aristocrats...
That's where it started. I remember that.
That's it. That was the moment. You were there, right? The aristocrats would get together and drink, and then some person would take the persona, as we say, of a low-born Athenian and attack someone in the room. His eating habits, his sexual habits, everything. Imagine Bush Sr. in a toga suddenly becoming Andrew Dice Clay. There it is.
There's an image.
The birth of snark.
Okay, so if this seems to be becoming more prevalent, to what detriment?
Well, first of all, there is a war going on in the media. There is a panic on both sides of the old media, who are afraid their wonderful publications, magazines, and newspapers,
which they are dying,
are going to sink into the web, which I think would be a disaster, but that's another conversation. And kids who want to make a living in new media and don't know how they're going to earn decent money. So
and the way to get paid attention to is to be...
The way to get paid attention to is to be nasty, glib, undermining, teasing, knowing. If you're on the older side of it, you might be panicking, you're losing the kids, I've got to get...
So is this just old, where the old guy sitting around in the rocking chair going, these kids, they don't do it right?
Some of them don't do it right. If you're a celebrity and get hit, in a way you're asking for it. But what bothers me is people who are involuntary victims of snark. If you're on a campus, a guy
the whole thing with
has
dating and
a love affair with a girl,
sites,
and then gets and says all sorts of horrible, intimate things about her, that is going to pop up. That's going to Google up forever. 10 years later when you go for a job interview at a law firm. That's no joke. That's where it gets really mean. It's
mean, it's personal, and it's ruining our conversation. David Denby.
Thank you very much.
Do appreciate it.